The Warpaints Fanatic range is officially making its way to hobby desks all over the world. Seeing as the Army Painter is many hobbyists' first paint when they enter the hobby, we wanted to make sure that this starter paint set was the best in the industry. With the reformulated Fanatic range featuring high coverage acrylics, shimmering metallics, a brush-on primer, wash, brush, and a miniature, this set has everything you need to get started. Today we're going to use only the paints inside this set as we paint up this knight miniature from Cephalofair Games' Gloomhaven. Let's follow along as Steffen from our studio team shows you how it's done. We'll start by applying a thin coat of the brush-on primer all over the model, making sure to get even coverage across the entire miniature. The primer is important. Without it, your acrylic paints will have a difficult time adhering to the surface of your miniature, so you don't want to miss this step. Take your time here and apply a thin coat so as not to obscure any of the details on the miniature. Now it's time to add some color, starting with pure red. This vivid red works well in many game settings. We'll thin this with a bit of clean water and apply it to the tunic and robes. You can be a bit messy in this step as we'll be painting over other areas later on, but be as neat as you can as you go around the miniature with this color. Next up, we'll use leather brown to paint the leather straps, belts, and other details like the scabbard. We'll move on to ultramarine blue. This is a strong purplish blue, a true ultramarine color that has universal appeal. You can see as we move from color to color how similarly the paints cover, which is very well and very simply. Again, the goal with this range, and especially this set, was to make a high performance paint range that was still very easy to use, easy enough for a starting painter. The insane coverage of these paints certainly helps in achieving just that. Using matte black, we'll use this color to block in the gloves. As you work your way around the miniature, it becomes more and more important to be neat and tidy and to paint inside the lines, so to speak. But if you happen to mess up, you can simply grab your previous colors and cover up any mistakes. Then we'll move on to plate mail metal to begin blocking in any of the armor and weapons and other metallic details on this miniature. The Fanatic metallics utilize a combination of aluminum and mica flake for unsurpassed coverage and sheen for a true metallic metal effect. A tip for beginners out there, we recommend using either a different rinsing cup or cleaning your rinse cup after painting your metallics to prevent from contaminating your future color choices with the metal flake inside. For the remaining armor and more ornate pieces on this miniature, grab Greedy Gold and apply a smooth, simple base coat. One coat of this gold metallic should be good enough, but if you want even more coverage, just apply a second smooth coat. Now, a wash is an essential step and technique that adds shading and definition to your miniature. This starter set comes with a neutral dark brown wash called Strong Tone. This color works well for many different applications. Just apply it liberally all over the miniature. This wash is designed so that the darker pigments flow over the raised edges and into the recesses. If you feel that the wash is pulling too much in any one area, dry your brush on a paper towel, then bring it back to the miniature to wick away any excess wash from that area. Now, the wash does have a longer drying time, so you do have a bit of time to work with it on the miniature, but you will want to ensure that it is dried completely before moving on to any other steps. After you've applied your wash, you'll notice that it's added some nice definition, but it's also darkened down the model a bit. Your model is totally tabletop ready at this point, but if you want to take it up a notch, we'll reapply our base coats as a highlight. Starting with pure red, we'll simply trace over the raised edges and surfaces on the miniature, leaving the shaded areas from our wash alone in that recesses. To take this one step further, you can use the matte white from the set, mixing it with your pure red to add a refined highlight. For a more orange shade highlight for that red, mix in some demonic yellow instead. Repeat this process with leather brown on all of the brown bits. You can do this with a brush that comes included in the set, but for added control, try a Wargamer character or detail brush for even more precision. Once again, we'll add white for that refined highlight. We'll do the same with ultramarine blue. Then we'll refine that with a mix of ultramarine blue and once again matte white. We'll highlight all of the gold details with our base tone of greedy gold, once again leaving the shaded areas alone as we increase the contrast on this miniature. A fun tip for highlighting gold, you can mix in a silver metallic like the plate mail metal inside with the greedy gold for a bright shimmering highlight. Now we'll refine all of the silver metallics with plate mail metal once again. And next we'll use our brush on primer to clean up the cobblestones on the base. When you're finished, grab some matte black and paint the rim of your base. Use your preferred Battlefield's tufts and some Battlefield's basing glue to add some simple grass clumps and foliage to the base for even more theme and visual interest like Steffen's doing here. With just the paints inside the set and a few basing products, your Gloomhaven miniature found inside the Warpaints Fanatic Starter Paint Set is ready for your next game. You can use these same tips and techniques on virtually any fantasy or sci-fi miniature for any game system you're getting started with. Find these products and more at your friendly local game store, preferred online retailer, or at www.thearmypainter.com.